Hello and welcome to Short Story Scene. I'm your host, the storyteller, and here we have a tale called Inferno by Dante Alighieri. Canto 4. Broke the deep lethargy within my head, a heavy thunder, so that I upstarted. Like to the person who by force is wakened, and round about I moved my rested eyes, uprisen erect, and steadfastly I gazed, to recognize the place wherein I was. True it is that upon the verge I found me of abysmal valley delirious, that gathers thunder of infinite alliterations, and obscure profound it was, and nebulous, so that the fixing on its depths my sight, nothing whatever I discerned therein. Let us descend now into the blind world, began the poet, pallid utterly. I will be first, and thou shalt second be. And I, who is his color was aware, said, How shall I come if thou art afraid? Who art wont to be a comfort to my fears? And he to me, the anguish of the people who are below here in my face depicts, the pity which of terror thou hast taken. Let us go on, for the long way impels us. Thus he went in, and thus he made me enter. A foremost circle that surrounds the abyss. There, as it seemed to me from listening, were lamentations none, but only sighs, and tremble made me everlasting air. And this arose from sorrow without torment, which the crowds had, that many were in great, of infants and of women and of men. To me, the Master good, thou dost not ask what spirit these, which thou beholdest, are. Now will I have thee know, thou go further, and thy sin not, and if thy merit had, 'tis not enough, because they had not baptism, which is the portal of the faith thou holdest. And if they were before Christianity in the right manner, they adored not God, and among such of these am I myself. For such defects, and not for other guilt, lost are we, and are only so far punished. What without hope we live on and desire. After grief seized on my heart, and when this I heard, because some people of much worthiness I knew, who in the limbo were suspended. Tell me, my Master, tell me, thou, my Lord. Begin I with desire of being certain of that faith which I overcometh the error. Came only one by his own merit hence, or by another's, who was blessed thereafter. And he who understood my covert speech replied, I was a novice in this state, when I saw hither come a mighty one, with a sign of victory incarnate. Hence he drew forth the shade of the first parent, and thou that his son Abel, and of Noah, of Moses, and the lawgiver, and of the obedient, Abraham patriarch, and David king, Israel with his father and his children, and Rachel, who with his sake he did so much, and others many, and he made them blessed. And thou must know that earlier than these never were any human spirits saved. We cease not to advance because we spake, and still we're passing onward through the forest, say I, of thick coward ghosts. Not very far as yet our way had gone, this side of the summit, when I saw fire that overcame the hemisphere of darkness. We were a little distant from it still, but not so far that I in part discerned not. The honorable people held that place. O thou whoest honorest every art and science, who may thee be which such great honor have, that from the fashion of the rest its parts them. And he to me, the honorable name, that sounds of them above there in thy life, wins grace in heaven, that so advances them. In the meantime a voice was heard to me, All honor be to the preeminent poet. And the shade returns again that was departed. After the voice had ceased and quiet was, 4 mighty shades I saw approaching us. The semblance that they nor sorrowful nor glad, to say that me began my gracious master, him with the flashing in his hand, behold, who come before thee, 3, even as their Lord. That one is Homer, poet sovereign, who he comes next is Horace, the satirist, and third Ovid, the last of Lucian. Because to each of these with me applies the name that solitary voice proclaimed, thy do me honor, and in that do well. Thus I beheld assemble the fair school of that lord of the song preeminent, though over the others like an eagle soar. When they together had discoursed somewhat, and turned to me with signs of salvation, and on beholding this, my master smiled. The more of honor still, much more they did me, in that they made me one of their own band, so that the 6th was I, with so much wit. And thy we went on the far as to the light. Things sang, 'tis becoming to keep silent, as was the saying of them were we came unto the noble castle's foot, 7 times encompassing with lofty walls, defended round by fair velvet. This is the passed over even of firm grounds. Through portals 7 I entered with these sages. We came into a meadow of fresh verdure. People were there in the solemn eyes and slow, of great authority in the contentants, and the spake to me seldom with the gentle voices. Thus we withheld ourselves upon one side into the opening luminous and lofty, so that they all of them were visible. Their opposite upon the green enamel were pointed out to me in mighty spirits, whom I have seen. I felt myself exalted. I saw Electra with a companions many, among whom I know both Hector and Erine's. Caesar in armor with falcon eyes. I saw Camilla and Penthesilea. So on the other side, and saw the king Latinus, who was Lavinian, his daughter sat. I saw the Brutus who drove Tarquin forth, Lucretia, Julia, Marcia, and Cornelia, and saw alone apart the Saladin. And when I had lifted up my brows a little, the master I beheld of those who known sit with his philosophic family. All gaze upon him, and all do him honor. There I beheld both Socrates and Plato, who nearer him before the others stand. Democritus, who put his world on chance, Diogenes, Anaxagoras, and Thales, Zeno, and Mithridates, and Heracles. Of qualities I saw a good collector. Height, Dioscorides and Orphiades saw I, Tully and Livy, and the moral Seneca, Euclid, geometrician, and Ptolemy, Hippocrates, Valencia, Verones, who the great comment made. I cannot all of them portray in full, because so drives me onward the long theme, that many times in the word comes short of fact. The 6-fold company in 2 divides. Another way my sapient guide conducts me forth from the quiet to the air that trembles, and to a place I come where nothing shines. And that concludes Canto 4, Inferno by Dante Alighieri. If you like this content and would like to support it, please head on to the Patreon. That is www.patreon.com/short story scene. Thank you for listening, and see you next episode. Bye!